Quiet back there in the cheap seats.
All right, folks, as Jim said, we're going to do the open mic, and I owe you a large apology because I brought some coffee in a can from home, and I didn't bring enough, so next time I'll bring more. So now you are...
Is that an apology?
Yes, yes. Well, I drink more coffee than everybody in this room put together, so I can assure you. It is a miracle I still have kidneys. All right. So, just a few upcoming events, and I'll go as painless as possible, painlessly. You know, every Monday night, I hope you do, the Club Harmony Poetry Series at the Walk and Roll Cafe goes on up in Woodstock at 52 Route 212, or Mill Hill Road for you townies or townie wannabes. We have a featured poet, I should say Michael Platsky has a featured poet, and an open mic before and after. How very metropolitan of him. So that's every Monday night. And coming up, for those of you who get over to Orange County, we have a new poetry series in Montgomery, New York. There is a used bookstore, fancy that, called well, we have almost none left, indie bookstores. Now, it's called the Montgomery Book Exchange, and it's happening every second Tuesday at 7 p.m. Okay, that's at 13 Union Street in the old section of Montgomery, New York. However, there is a catch. Although there is no cover charge, it is a family-friendly open mic. So no salty language from all you buccaneers, all right? You heard it. I'm not the host, so please, I have no other information about that. Now, on the 11th, I'm just bouncing quickly. If anybody, Philip, you want to mention your reading?
It's a tough night for Tony Payne.
Isn't it? Philip?
On the 13th, Saturday afternoon at the Woodstock Poetry Society, Andy Clausen.
Good.
And his friend, Pamela Twining.
Pamela Twining, yeah. Philip is the host. It's at 2 p.m.
Features first, and then open mic first, and then features, and it's free. Upstairs at the Golden Notebook.
A good series. Get up there and check it out. I recommend it. What?
Where is this?
In Woodstock.
At the Golden Notebook
Yeah.
bookstore in Woodstock.
Tinker Street.
Second floor.
Yep.
And we meet there second Saturday of every month, 2 o'clock till about 4 o'clock.
Yep. Well worth your trip. All right, really quickly backtracking. We're going back in time with Gene Roddenberry. We have the Teresa Costa's new series, the Word of Mouth Poetry Series, at 7:30 o'clock at the Art Bar Gallery at 674 Broadway up in Kingston, New York. Coming up on the 11th, which is a Thursday. It's always second Thursdays. I'm tripping on the wires up here. We have Mike Jakovic and Albany area poet Brian Dorn. Teresa does open mic after, and it's a nice space. Go check it out. Now, my now almost 12-year-old poetry series up in New Paltz at the Mud Puddle Cafe, which is at 10 Main Street inside the Water Street Market. Some of you remember when it started. When was this? June of 2003, when former Hudson Valley poet Amy Ozunian started it up. I was her man behind the blackout curtain, and I assisted her. But nevertheless, when she moved out west, way out west, I took the conch and the scepter and the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch, and I took over as the host. Well, you know, it was... you have to know those things when you're a king, you know. It was November of 2004. The point is, if you come up on the last day of spring, which is the 20th of this month, you will get to hear a phenomenal young lady. Her name is Dina Pioni, and she's going to be reading fiction, nonfiction. I don't know how she's doing all this in a half an hour. An excerpt of her memoir, and she's only 25, and poetry, Dina Pioni. And we have Dr. Dennis Bressak, and everybody loves Dennis, the green Dr. Dennis. So dentist. He's coming up there, and there's open mic after. Please join us there. Then Ted Gill, where's Ted? He's hiding right there. Ted Gill runs a series now for about 6 years at the Goshen Methodist Church in Goshen, New York, 115 Main Street, and we have a reading coming up on the 29th, last Mondays, and your feature is in the house tonight. There he is. Jim Eve. is our feature at TED Series on the 29th. Just mentioning that you're featured, Jim.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, at Ted's reading. And I ran out of ink and paper, so we'll give you flyers later. All right, that's enough of that. If anybody else has another reading, you come up and mention it so I can get on to the open mic. It's a biopsy of local readings, not a whole chunk. All right. Well, fancy this. Ted Gill, hike all the way up here, you're the first. We have a 2-poem limit. We also have a $5 cover charge. You should have put it in the basket, Henry. Jim has the basket, in the basket, not bastard, in the back of the room, the front of the room. I have a hearing problem.
That ain't your only problem.
Yes.
I got just a little bit longer than usual. A lost damn soul, for all I know. All the world seems to be gone. Oh, this is what I call one of my road poems. When I drive alone at night, my mind starts whirling and I come up with poems, and sometimes I can hang on to them and write them down. This is one of them. A lost damn soul, for all I know. All the world seems to be gone behind the mists and falling snow. Still I hurtle on and on like a lost damn soul, for all I know. The mist swirls off, the winds brief blow, and a new world reappears, all in the white of fallen snow, but it doesn't dispel my fears. I wonder and worry as I speed on, where's the world I think I know? Will the life I lead be as quickly gone if one of my stronger props should go? The mists will melt away before the sun, and so in time will the covering snow. I wish peace of mind were as easily won in the life and the world I think I know. I'm lost in more than the dark and the mist, and the world's hidden by more than snow. I feel a chill to my soul I can scarcely resist as I speed on, damned for all I know. And this is another one. Some people might not like it. It's a revival. And the Reverend preaches fire, and he calls the brimstone down, and his sinners start to tremble before his thunderous frown. The faithful and repentant fall down upon their knees as the sinners shake the harder like willow branches in a breeze. And then he spoke forgiveness of the sins of one and all, and how Christ himself redeemed us from mankind's sinful fall. And the sinners cried in ecstasy just to know that they were saved if they rejected hell's broad highway and the sins with which it's paved. Then the Reverend gave them blessings and forgave them all their sins. As they became repentant, their faces wreathed in grins. And then he called them, and then he asked them for donations, and each one gave all he could, while the Reverend blessed them once again from the stage on which he stood. Then he stepped behind the arras, and the curtain shut him out, as the faithful and repentant gave a thankful, joyous shout. Once separated from the multitude, the Reverend breaks into a smile. He speaks then to his faithful aides. That should hold the fools a while. He puts his arm about a pretty aide, saying, I think we did pretty well. Come, sister, let us meditate. Then the Reverend retreats into his cell.
Thank you, sir. All right, so don't forget, last Monday of the month at the Goshen Methodist Church in Orange County, New York, yeah, you have to cross the river, is TED Series. And well worth your traveling because Jim Eve is the featured poet. It is my intrepid duty to remind everyone, because then I don't forget. All right. Next we have a very long-term supporter of our series, Mr. Ken Holland.
This is from a few years ago, the tsunami, and based on the fact that there was a Japanese ship that was anchored in Japan and then was no longer anchored in Japan, and it turned up somewhere. So it's called, again, Tsunami. The Japanese trawler is pushing up the hard against the western coast of Canada, as if it were itself the lashing wave which had birthed its breach, unmoored, unmanned, 100-ton ship set to a year-long course of currents, its hull a corrosion of salt-licked metal, scoured and wind-bitten. And just how different really from a rust-clad leaf of November, whose scalloped fringe folds up into an arc, its veins like hardened solder, like tight sutures against the water's perpetual lap, as we set the wayfarer down upon the expanse of the pond's slim surface and blow our godly breath at its stern, watch it glide out to where no hand can reach it, no voice call it back, too few stars to illuminate its path, bewildered by its loss, as if we'd created the very thing, intricate and unfettered, which had wittingly escaped our grasp. It's June. It is the month of Father's Day. My father passed about 5 years ago. I wrote this while he was still with us. He was on the downside of life at that point. This poem is informed by the Orson Welles film A Touch of Evil. In fact, it's called A Touch of Evil, 1958, fully restored, 1998. On the same evening I saw A Touch of Evil, I picked up the note papers on which my father had penned his name 12 times over. Crude imitations of the subtle script that once gave graphic definition to his person. The movie audience sucked in its breath when Orson Welles walked onto the screen, obese, unshaven, a cigar puckered between his lips, the near odor of smoke drifting through the theater. Unlike the smoke that chorused about Marlene Dietrich's face, her cheroot imaginably that of incense, her role pagan and sultry, it was the Marlena we knew. The names of the drugs are difficult on the tongue, as if to thin my father's blood they need be given incantatory sounds, or their magic falter like a wick-burned lantern. Do you remember Orson Welles, I ask? In return, a grin of incomprehension. A touch of evil, I try. Marlene Dietrich, Charlton Heston. You've always loved Mexico, don't you remember? But why should he, when even I now confuse Dietrich with digitalis, Mexican narcotics for Coumadin, as if it were my blood that had thinned, my memory, not my father's, that had been remade.
Wow.
Thank you, Ken. Ken Holland. I notice that Jim does not have his drum. I shouldn't have said that. All right. Next we have Maceo Whitaker. Step right up. I can't go that way.
Hello. My first poem is called Well, I was driving to work and I saw a bumper sticker. And the bumper sticker in front of me said, my son's an all-star speller. So that's the name of the poem. My son's an all-star speller. My son's the baddest lad in Sunnyside, Queens. My son roughed up not only honors kids, but also the honors teacher. My son still pulled an A. My son hopped the turnstile to surf on the E train to Rego Park, to Kew Gardens, to Jamaica and back. My son does not spit sunflower seeds. My son spits sunflowers. My son spits suns. My son has a firm, secret handshake named Earthquake that takes Flushing Creek waves down the Atlantic to Neptune, New Jersey. Turning spumes on fumes, my son hawks fake gold spoons from womb to tomb, then schools his foes on who versus whom. At the spelling bee, his adversary Jimmy Rowe, all pomp, nailed psoriasis in sarcophagus, but fumbled a gimme, sacrilege. My son stepped to the mic and spelled vivisepulture. Vivisepulture, noun, the act of burying alive. My son put Jimmy Rowe in a vice-like headlock, then mock vivisepulture. It's a hard word to say. Then mock vivisepulture position before releasing the runner-up from his clutches. My son won the spelling bee. He won bullying. He won empathy. My son can spell awry, rhythm, and ukulele. And almost definitely, he can spell trouble. I just wrote that recently. This one isn't as funny, but I hope you like it. It's called Bunk. Bunk. We can't all be Otis Redding. Let the duet singe your soul. Ignore saxophone bloopers in the clanging clack of drumsticks flung staccato to tile. Cacophony. No coffee. Irish, ice, or black. Necessary. Stole bound. Coke bouquets highlight set breaks. It's late, dark. The ATM's busted, as is the lock. Though lungs grind overtime, windpipes do not fade, nor do game thinned out aortas. Yes, the hymns are glorious. Relax, dirty word. We wax and blow up as green smoke lights the low hat. 2 floors up, a beggar's foam cup collapses inward, alien slop crush on the sidewalk skate. String picker with no strings, he hums a song he can't sing, man. Clouds cool their water for issue. Across the street, reggae thumps from a gaping bodega doorway. The world is slow and heavy. The world is rolling and fake. The world is sham, sham, sham. But not downstairs, where we hunker and hanker in this bad, bad bunker, preparing for an attack that will never, ever, and I mean ever, arrive. Thank you.
Well, have a good evening this evening. Our next reader has been a friend of mine for a very long time. That was not an intentional rhyme, but here is Cheryl A. Rice.
Or Robert. I've been having lunch with Frank O'Hara this week, so I was going to read one of his titled poem, as about half this book is. Lana Turner has collapsed. I was trotting along and suddenly it started raining and snowing, and you said it was hailing, but hailing hits you on the head hard, so it was really snowing and raining, and I was in such a hurry to meet you, but the traffic was acting exactly like the sky, and suddenly I see a headline, Lana Turner has collapsed. There is no snow in Hollywood. There is no rain in California. I have been to lots of parties and acted perfectly disgraceful, but I never actually collapsed. Oh, Lana Turner, we love you. Get up. And that's just a simple one. Oh my gosh. Love Frank. This is for Lisa Nowak. Does anybody remember Lisa Nowak? Who she was? She was an astronaut. This is called We Have All Been There. And I think I wanted to, I'm so happy lately. Sometimes I miss the craziness. So I want to thank,
One in the garage.
That's the
One-
drive to Florida.
she's the driver, yeah.
Diaper wear.
Lots of pennies.
Don't act so superior. We have all been there. The festering anxiety, sudden breakup, the let's still be friends routine, hard discovery, notes in the email, someone else's lipstick on a beer can, moon boots not in your size drying in the garage. The frantic journey diapered either in body or spirit because you're saving the shit for the one who deserves it. Not the Quickie Mart cashier, highway toll taker, not your kids, poor bastards. You'll spend more time with them later, after all this is settled, but not the loving, earthbound spouse. You loved him once, but you can't talk about the stars with him. Clarity of the Milky Way when you're right there. You just can't explain it. There's no going back. We've all had our showdowns in false nose, fright wig, grease paint mustache, needing to talk, needing to explain how he is the world to you, flawed and fragmented as it is, angry about how it has turned out, your mixed up plans, your sacrifices, how it will feel for the rest of your life in Texas without him, how space will never be big enough for the three of you. We've all shown a steel mallet, a paper cutter, National Geographic's roped together with kitchen twine, the goose horn, the channel changer, half a tuna sandwich wrapped in smelly industrial saran, teeth bared to pepper spray and all things unsafe. We have all been to this place we never imagined visiting, traveling the worst possible roads, worst direction we've ever dreamed of. Behaved so badly that we will never tell even our most faithful sympathizers. We'll leave that to the tabloids, and they never get the whole story. His promises in the deep, weightless night, 3 years of hiding in starlight, letting yourself in, the smell of his cotton sheets. They take the isolated meltdown, re-entry short circuit, let it lead. Nobody cares what happens after, the stifled career, the kids, the quiet divorce. The moon remains unfazed in her old routine. We have all been there, and they don't call lovers lunatics for nothing.
All right. Well, the chuckling fellow is Hayden Wayne, and he's approaching the podium. Hayden Wayne.
Get up there, boy.
You guys are rocking tonight. Ah, the lights out. Okay. Two. One's longer, one's shorter. George Orwell and Aldous Huxley are in the house tonight. Have we really lost control of our own governance? Deja vu all over again. Sleep no more. We don't have anything to believe in. We're invisible. How many worlds have come to an end? It's time to take note of ourselves. Eden is closer than we think, nestled between the Tigris, Euphrates, Araxes, and the Pishon, also known as the Greater Zab, swaddling her new progeny, but she evaporated before our witness. Enoch, great-grandfather of Noah, was approached by watchers who showed him the Garden of Righteousness, where the 4 rivers of paradise take their rise, while another leads to the home of the angels. Is this the Eden we misplaced? Somewhere in Armenia Major, in the plain of mush, between an expanse of congealed lava, the very vessel of our birthing, no more, no less, as what we leave when we shuffle off this mortal coil. Were these lava flows the protecting fiery swords of the cherubim? This placenta, which allowed the entrance of our souls, where angels directed our purpose. But we chose to sleep as we sleep now. Were these the spirits that thought for us because we chose not to navigate our own moral compass? Vanished are our birth awakenings, arid sand is all that remains. The lushness that once so nurtured and loved us seems a distant fantasy of improbable proportion. Hatred now, a singular parochial justification, burns. How short-sighted and limited this vision juxtaposed the totality of totality. But some of us keep digging down, older, deeper. Obviously, we had a purpose. Obviously, we forgot it. Obviously, we've been here longer than we realize. Obviously. Where did we come from? Why did we forget? Somewhere within Armenia Major, so many thousands of years ago, before the genocide of 1915, and is now Eastern Turkey. In awe and wonder of myths and legends of waiting for celestial lives to return, of 100,000 civilizations in our galaxy alone, from the constellation of Sagittarius, as mentioned in ancient Samaria, from the constellation of Orion, as demonstrated by the Hopi, Egyptians, and Mayan. Am I a theoretical scientist, romantic, pragmatic, who knows we're not alone? I'm a member of the National Arts Club, and annually we have poetry readings, and somehow in a cauldron things are thrown out as a gauntlet. The last one was a turning of leaves. This one is a fork in the road. I wrote this morning. A fork in the road. Two trees of knowledge of good and evil, of regaining one's spiritual identity and immortality. But the Lord said, "Look, man has become as one of us." Was it the Lord? Or a taskmaster afraid of losing the ability to enslave us? Who was this higher power who scattered us across the earth, separating our language and unity? History carved on stone, Mesopotamia before the Hebrews, the story of Gilgamesh, where Utnapishtim before Noah rode out the flood. A fork in the road, dry land or water. Babylonian and Assyrian tablets of the scorched earth before the rains, of the intricate systems of dams and dikes to control the erratic flooding of the Tigris and Euphrates, built in Mesopotamia, only to be destroyed. Cleansed the earth from threat of evolution. Taskmasters remaining in control. A fork in the road. Eden, soured. We, naked, not from self-conscious shame, but from performing laborious tasks, the humiliation of enslavement under the fully clothed of power. A fork in the road. The all-consuming chore from birth to death, trapped within the physicality of mortality, versus the enlightened perpetual state of higher consciousness. Thank you.
They've been waiting.
A drummer boy, eh? Tempo, right.
Thank you, sir. Now, because I have some kind of memory lapse, Jay Weiss? I said it right. Okay. You're writing almost in Cyrillic, Jay. No offense. Jay Weiss, come on up. Come on up. Welcome. Welcome.
So I'm a virginal reciter. This is my very first time, and you're witnessing my deflowering. So bear with me. The first poem is mine. The second poem is a Pulitzer Prize winning because I wasn't sure how difficult the crowd would be tonight. January 30th, 2014. Today, we put two families' beloved pets to sleep. They were both old and suffering. Both were 13 years old. One, a big, goofy chocolate lab, his body lumpy with tumors. The other, a fragile, beige chihuahua, weak from kidneys no longer functioning. Their owners wept and put a long stem rose, or their pet's favorite toy, beside them as they died. Their owners' faces were red and puffy with crying and their eyes heavy for lack of sleep. They said that they deeply loved them, wished for them to no longer suffer, and chose death as the only humanely possible option. The appointments were consecutive. That was very trying. We slowly and softly discussed their elderly pet's conditions, searched for their alcohol-wetted veins, and cried over their now peaceful bodies. The next appointment was an Indian woman who had just acquired a puppy to insulate her 4 children from her imminent divorce. Her soon-to-be former husband doesn't know of the puppy yet. It's okay, she said. We'll be all right. Within a few days, my fiancée will be moving out. She decided that I never listened to her and our relationship is dead. Her furniture and boxes of possessions wait now, but will vanish like yet another peaceful body as the moving truck slowly sways out from my driveway. Her lingering mail will be the last to go. Shifting scenes of love and loss. A burden shared seemingly unequal when it's yours, but endured by each of us daily. We will all cry tonight. All our eyes will be wet, and then we will wake up tomorrow. The other one's called The Simple Truth, and it's written by Peter Levine, an amazing poet who died, I think, the last 6 months ago. I bought $1.50 worth of small red potatoes, took them home, boiled them in their jackets, and ate them for dinner with a little butter and salt. Then I walked through the dried fields on the edge of town. In middle June, the light hung on in the dark furrows at my feet, and in the mountain oaks overhead, the birds were gathering for the night, the jays and mockers squawking back and forth, and finches still darting into the dusty light. The woman who sold me the potatoes was from Poland. She was someone out of my childhood in a pink spangled sweater and sunglasses, praising the perfection of all her fruits and vegetables at the roadside stand and urging me to taste even the pale, raw, sweet corn, tucked all the way, she swore, from New Jersey. "Eat, eat," she said. "Even if you don't, I'll say you did." Some things you know all your life. They are so simple and true. They must be said without elegance, meter, and rhyme. They must be laid on the table beside the salt shaker, the glass of water, the absence of light gathering in the shadows of picture frames. They must be naked and alone. They must stand for themselves. My friend Henri and I arrived at this together in 1965 before I went away, before he began to kill himself, and the two of us to betray our love. Can you taste what I'm saying? It is onions or potatoes, a pinch of simple salt, the wealth of melting butter. It is obvious. It stays in the back of your throat like a truth you never uttered because the time was always wrong. It stays there for the rest of your life, unspoken, made of the dirt we call earth, the metal we call salt, in a form we have no words for, and you live on it.
Jerry Weiss, and welcome. We hope you come back. All right. Moving ahead. Now, I've said this before, and I will say it again. The man with the camera works for the CIA, the Culinary Institute of America. He has been a supporter of Calling All Poets for many years. He is Christopher Wheeling.
Yeah, he says don't be shy. Are they still there?
Yeah.
They're still there. Now let's blank paper. What's going on here? Okay, a couple of new, relatively new, recent, as in written in the past couple of weeks-ish sort of situation.
Can you repeat that?
Okay. Yeah, couldn't if I tried, right?
That's one poem.
Retrospective after a performance piece by Marina Abramovich. The artist is the exhibition, silence while meeting eyes, deep intimacy shared with a never-ending crowd of strangers. She is present. She is waiting for the next gaze, head lowered. Her flowing dress pools about her hidden feet, tilts neck level again, reveals her unspoken self. 1 minute spent locked in each other's gaze, intimacy without words, the void between two past lovers filled with silence, a moment made in 3 decades, waiting for hands to extend across the table, and once again, no touch. Now, one of my soon-to-be famous, ever elusive dream poems, Interruption. The only thing left after the explosion was a pair of red leather shoes. Thank you.
Well, you know what Freud would say. Never mind. All right. This chap.
Wasn't Merle Oberon in there?
Merle Oberon. Well. No, the lot is over there. No, Merle Oberon. Never mind. What a peach. What a peach. All right, now let's have one of the youngest people in the room, Franklin Schneider. Franklin, where's there he is. It's his first time. Come on. This way.
Don't applaud now. I might have a weak finish.
Oh, you will.
funny table. I'm sure you will all concur in making a comment about last winter. It was a bear. Anyway, so March, this is a seasonal thing, perhaps. It was early March, and I was really getting excited because spring was on the wing. Is that one? Yeah. Now I get to the second one. All right. It's early March. A heat wave is predicted. Yes, spring is finally in Brooklyn. 2 weeks ago, it was in Hoboken. It would have been in Brooklyn sooner, but the Brooklyn Bridge was closed for pothole repairs. Yes, spring is in the air, heading north, guaranteed by the 21st. So go away, winter. You remind me of a place I haven't been to yet. Sign outside my door, do not disturb. Barefoot, wearing t-shirt and shorts, I sit in my old recliner, left leg over right, facing the morning light. From 2 opened windows, sensing freshness and comfortable cool. Eyes resting, ears awake, a car passes needing a new muffler. Power mowers come and go. The refrigerator bumps on for its chilling cycle. An airplane buzzes above. In the adjoining cigar box, I hear movement and mumbling. The lion yawns, his phone rings. It's time for me to insert my earplugs, only to bask in the silent luxury of aloneness. Sip Colombian Supreme, reading a Mozart conspiracy.
Okay, you go. Well done. That's the title of the book, A Mozart Conspiracy?
Yes, it is.
I shall have to look at that. All right. Now, Jim, next we have Wanda Schaefer. Wanda? Okay. Yes. Jim, we have the microphone here. Yeah. I think so, yeah. It's going to play. Let me get out of the way.
Got it?
Yeah. Your chair is behind you, Wanda. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, Jim.
What?
Okay.
I have 2 poems of my own and 1 of Rilke. Hello! This is called The Dark Little Candy Store. The clock goes tick-tock in the shop. The lollipops look up. The cinnamon sticks have lost their wicks and the strain of bitter cup. The licorice candy, thick as brandy, twirls into a straw. The pictures of light are very bright. They bubble and guffaw. Can you hear me? But colorful parades of little maids into buttery chocolate spilled. A fine neat mold that murders the cold and rubs the mouth that is chilled. And a sprig of peppermint worth a dime, and little marshmallows crushed, where the spigots on the fire climb to a twined burning bush. The marigold bulbs have grown quite tall, and their tinfoil petals shine. The inky black cherry is making merry, though plucked from off the vine.
Come on, still going.
But all for the sunny faces, the frets, the honey graces, the awkward pets, the pudgy, lace-gilled little tots, like ragcloths off their guts, to the shop at midnight with a hippity hop. They're crunching and munching and brunching, it seems, upon the dark midnight, the sweets of their dreams. And the children are gathered as if in net, like slippery fish from the sea, yet with cheeks like plump buns and eyes like bright nuns. They gather their forces, we. All in the dog shop, they just can't stop while the dull old adults flee. And they make a beautiful ravenous crop as they dine on dream candy. This is called Tattered Rose. Fetch me the petals of a tattered rose, all limp, too soft, and with perfume cloyed. The wrinkles from off a toiler's hand, the sweat of a brow that has thought too much. Here is a crevice full sighs that haunt one like an empty wing. Here is a viscid splash of blood, and bloodshed maddened wandering eyes. Here is a terror white and soft, frail as a dove that is wandering. Down suddenly, crushed to softest pulp, upon most insubstantial reddened wheat, whose ghostly tickles brushes on the graves lie neatly labeled under one sun, or the burning, brimming well of some thick passion that presses against its prison walls and can never flow forth but can only burst the walls in an excess of flame, and being caved in upon, in chaos spread, enclosed forever, damned and self-destructive, lost. Here is a skin on a face that as thick and tough as elephant. And here is a delicate head with rasping, inset eyes, voice, large, prosaic, frightened eyes. They are sitting on the bus side by side. Here is a beauty too intense, seeming encapsulated in itself forever, that will be grotesque with high grotesqueries. and eat from hands that smell of swinish sport. And like a bewildered blight she'll roam the world, feeding garbage gossip, titivating men, goading all self to innocuous rage and terror like the pale pages of a storm, self-consumed. Or it might be the too-big prostitute, tottering tipsy 6 o'clock in the morning, out of her public hell. That stays implacably written on skin and eyes, like burnt-out candles, hollow-socketed, eyes only drunk with fat, which like some pale stars, burned out ages past, their light linked for hope of some remote age or life to come. But meanwhile, misty-eyed automatons of the streets and sheets, battered nightmare of reality.
Bravo.
Thank you, Wanda.
I want to read.
Wanda Schaefer.
It was wonderful.
You okay, Jim? Is that yours?
Hear this. Written by Roca.
You gonna read Wilkin now?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Number 8, verse 4. Only the realm of praising can lament. Go, nymph of the weeping spring, watching over our precipitation, that it be clear at the very rock that bears the portals and the altars. See, round her still shoulders dawning, how there's the feeling that she is the youngest one among the sister modes in the spirit. Jubilance knows and longing acquiesces. Only lament is learning still. With girlish hands, she reckons life and night as ancient evil. Yet suddenly aslant, unpracticed. Yet suddenly aslant, unpracticed. Even so, she holds the constellation of our voice into the sky, unclouded by her breath.
Thank you, Wanda.
Thank you, Wanda.
Can I sit in the chair?
You sure? She's trying to message you. She's fine.
What? No, no.
This last one is called The Men.
Well, thank you, Wanda Schaefer. Oh, yeah. Hard to say, but Yeah, she's been reading with us for many years.
When did you write that second poem?